listen up. If you guys want to know how to make this or any of my other models, you better follow me and start touching some of those buttons down in the comment section. Like, touch them real good, because I'm just getting started. Like, the whole reason I started making these is because I dislike brick-built figures. So that's my goal, is to bring to life some of the most iconic Fallout figures and buildings that would look better as a molded figure. So like even here with Lucy, I've put studs in here so you can actually put the figures inside the mouth of the dinosaur. And it has a hinge that I haven't set up yet. So when you download these files, you will have a hinge. And you can download any of my other files. Like we got Frank Horrigan over here facing off against the super mutant behemoth. Or my updated Securetron waiting for the courier to show up at Novac. Over here we've got my Cyberdog with Cooper Howard greeting him. And this no vacancy sign. This one's not my original design, so this one's gonna be free. I just remixed it to go ahead and attach to studs. And keep in mind, Dinky the T-Rex over here is attached to studs. He's got a whole studded under pattern so he can go ahead and be put on base plates. Then we've got two Rangers who just took out a super mutant over here with my 3D printable Ranger Sequoia, better known as a big iron, or my Pack Brahmins. Then we got Maximus over here taking on the Assaultron with these Mr. Handies over here taking care of this mole rat, and these Vault Dwellers running from the deadly Deathclaw. Keep in mind, I've got more models coming on the way, like the Swan Super Mutant Behemoth, or a Super Mutant Behemoth with no cart on his back. So, let's get started. This is how all of your pieces are gonna look straight off the printer, and we're gonna have to do a little bit of work to go ahead and get them to fit together nicely. Keep in mind, this is a very large model that I've spent a lot of time on, so it's gonna require a little bit of love. First of all, we're gonna start by sanding every flat surface. And for that, I love this little orbital foot sander I got off of Amazon. It's probably been recommended in 100 different 3D printing videos, and that's for good reason. It spins at just fast enough where it will really smooth out these surfaces, but won't get gunked up with a bunch of plastic. So, without further ado, those of you that are familiar with 3D printing, you'll know why I did sand it. But for those of you who are not, you can print at different layer heights, and the layer heights are exactly as they sound. If you can see these tiny lines, that is each time an entire slice of this is laid down in plastic, and those slices are stacked up to create a 3D model. Now you can print them at finer resolutions. For my minifig scale models, I actually print those at a 0.12 millimeter layer height on my Elegoo Centauri Carbon. Keep in mind, the Elegoo Centauri Carbon is a $280 printer. So pretty much anybody can get into it if they just save for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. I can print at higher quality, like I just said, for this, but I thought to save time, 0.2 millimeter layer height would be just fine, especially since we are going to be painting this and going over this with primer. So let's go ahead and get this assembled and glued. You can just use the connecting cubes to go ahead and hold the model together, but since I'm going to be painting it and I don't want the paint seams to ever come undone, I personally like to glue it and just use the connecting cubes as a way to align the parts. So we're gonna go ahead and get started on gluing. To glue these pieces together, I'm gonna be using this Gorilla Glue Super Glue Gel. I just like super glue in general, but you can honestly use any type of glue you prefer. Super glue is just nice and instant bonding, so I don't have to use clamps to hold it together. Because if you do want a stronger fit for like a functional part or like cosplay pieces, probably should use some sort of an epoxy or something along those lines and clamp it together and hold it so that way it'd be strong. But this whole entire thing was printed at 5% infill with 3 wall lines, and that was it. I mean, a piece like this only took about 9 hours to print on the Elegoo Centauri Carbon. So my super glue kind of comes out a little bit tough, so I like to go ahead and just dab it on there Get any gunk off of there. Then you can use your finger to spread it around. It doesn't burn, so I don't recommend it because you might stick your finger to the actual model. But you just need a little bit of super glue. You don't want a whole lot because then it'll clump out or push off the sides like that. Don't put any where the connector cubes are because you want those connector cubes to fully seat inside their holes, or else it's just gonna straight up misalign your model. But I like to go ahead and spread it with a spatula. That way I get a nice even coat and there's no parts where it's thicker or thinner for the model. So go ahead and grab your connector cube. You really only need it on one spot. And this ABS dust from sanding it actually will help with bonding it. So I don't dust or wash my parts before gluing them. Go ahead and line up the connecting cube. All right, and down. Push and hold. Hold, hold, hold. Hold, hold, hold. Squeeze, squeeze. Hold for about 10 seconds. I'll cut to when I'm done. Now that that's glued, I don't care who you are. There's no way you're pulling this off unless you're breaking it. You could rip this off and break it with your bare hands, but why you would do that, I don't know. This ain't coming off at all. Now there's no particular way you have to glue this. It's meant so that any piece can be the first piece you put together. I just decided to go ahead and do the torso first so then I can stick the head on and then the whole entire thing can just set right on the legs once they're glued together. So time-lapse time. Word to the wise, don't do everything like I do. I know in the last video I said ABS is my favorite plastic to print with, and that is actually true still, but for larger things, I should have clarified, I don't like ABS. I printed this in ABS because ABS is what I had, but as you can see, I didn't realize it at first, but I had some pretty bad shrinking that happened. And for those of you who don't know, ABS plastic is what Legos are made out of. And for large models, once the model cools off the print bed, it kind of contracts and it can shrink. And you'll get pretty gnarly gaps like this where it's good on one side, but bad on the other. So without further ado, let's get painting. Last note, print out a PLA for this. PLA, PETG, something that doesn't shrink. I'm sorry if the lighting's bad. We're doing this at night, as you can see, but we're gonna start off painting the same way I do any model, and that's with automotive filler primer. Pretty much any brand will work. I just like trusty old Rust-Oleum, so get shaken. Model's gonna get a lot of paint, and it's supposed to look slightly damaged, so we're not actually gonna do a whole lot of primer. We're just gonna do one thin coat across everything. Next, we are going to go over the entire model with a mixture of Satin Nutmeg and Flat Earth Brown by Rust-Oleum. You'll see why later. For the Flat Earth Brown, don't go over the whole model, just certain spots. You'll see why later. We are going to be putting this in specific places. Those are right here on the leg, kind of across. Don't worry about the door at all. Kind of like right there. Then we're gonna do one right over here. Don't worry about overspray. There's a few spots on the tail. There is a big spot right here on his torso. There's one on his back right there. There's a couple on his arms. Couple on his knee and leg. One like right here, one right there. This doesn't have to be exact. If you want to get creative with it, go ahead and get creative. On the back here, this is where we're gonna get creative because I don't really know what's going on back here. Just put it in spots where you think brown being underneath peeled paint would make sense. Right on the toes. If you're watching this and you own a 3D printing business or you know anybody who owns a 3D printing business.
Quick side note, everybody, this is my sister's dog, Pippin. He didn't get spooked by me. He got spooked by the dinosaur. He just came up to investigate. So just thought I'd clarify. I love that dog. Let's get back to it.
Please stay till the end or skip to the end. Hi, Pippin. You're okay, buddy? You're gonna use Vaseline. Do not use lotion, only use Vaseline. Vaseline is oil-based. We want that for spray paint. What I'm doing with this Vaseline is I'm gonna go around to every spot where I want this brown to show through, and we're just gonna throw some Vaseline on it. Now that you've done that, and I didn't show it, but the nostrils get that flat earth brown, and so does right behind the eyes. We're gonna go ahead and do the main color, which I'm using this Satin Eden by Rust-Oleum. So let's get started. And now that you're done with that, go ahead and bring it inside. Let the paint dry fully and harden where it's not super cold outside, and we'll get ready for the next step. But before that, if you own a 3D printing business or you know anybody who owns a 3D printing business, I brought this up earlier for a reason. I'm looking for sellers. If you are interested in selling any of the physical prints that you see here, such as my Soltron minifigure, or the Cyberdog Lego Rex, or this Super Mutant, or any of my other models, reach out to me on my Instagram at LayerForge Studios, or go ahead and contact me at my email available in the description. We'll go over the details, and I'd be very excited to work with you guys. So this video isn't super long. We're gonna go ahead and make this part 2, and it's getting pretty late in the night, so I need to get some sleep. Go ahead and come back in a couple days. I'll have part 2, and we're gonna go ahead and detail and show you how to weather this. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. The model should be available to download on my Colts 3Ds either tomorrow or the next day. I just gotta do some final tweaks to this to make sure your experience is much better than mine was. And again, I have many free models on my Colts3D.com, link in the description below. But if you wanna get any of my other models, go ahead and check it out. This one's not quite available yet. I gotta go ahead and do some tweaks to him as well.